Well, here we are at the Rideau Canal, the frozen Rideau Canal. This can be seen is great for skating on a wonderful sunny day where the temperature is just below freezing. The case isn't always such that the canal is frozen, and it goes for long stretches of time not being open, but other years it's frozen and it stays frozen without being interrupted by rain and warm weather, which closes the canal. Then it takes a while to rehabilitate the ice and so on. So it's fantastic to see it being open and people enjoying themselves. Straight ahead is the Chateau Laurier, old school, very impressive old Fairmont Hotel. And just to the left of that, where this crane is where the Parliament building is. There's major renovation and restoration going on there. Just to the right of the Chateau Laurier, in front of it is the Rideau Centre, big mall, and in front of it directly is the old train station, which is now the Senate building that moved there when they started restoring the Parliament buildings, and they'll be there for several more years. Eventually, there's a slight possibility, if they build a high-speed rail between Toronto and Ottawa and Montreal and Quebec City, which has been discussed, they might bring the high-speed rail to that station. I don't know how that would happen, although that's where it used to be, but something would have to be given up. Or I don't think it'd be underground, but anything's possible. It certainly is possible. Yeah, so really nice day, and just getting out here and enjoying the walk to come check out the canal. And yeah, just kind of getting ready slowly but surely for my trip to Mexico, which is slated for another 9 days from now. Right now it's the 18th of January 2026, and I'm leaving on the 27th to fly to Cancun and points onward from there. This is the view looking southward on the Rideau Canal, and the other view was northward. And right where the Chateau Laurier was, there's a series of locks, about 7 of them or so, that leads down to the Ottawa River, which extends very far toward, connects to Montreal. Boats could get there from there. And then other than some hydro generating stations along the river which are dammed, boats would be able to get up to northern Ontario if one went northward from the Ottawa River. As can be seen, there's a curve up ahead, and then it continues for quite a ways. The canal altogether, it's about 7.8 kilometers long, making it the longest ice skating rink in the world. And right where it ends, it's kind of a Dow's Lake is called, and it goes a little bit further to Hartwell Locks, the next series of locks up from here. And then those locks continue all along the Rideau River down to Kingston, Ontario, where it joins Lake Ontario and the Great Lakes and so on. So this canal was built in the late 1800s by Colonel B.Y., and that's why Ottawa has its Byward Market. And it was quite an endeavor. Lots of Irish laborers and others fought mosquito-infested swamps to build this thing, and it was meant for kind of military and then commercial purposes. And eventually, with the advent of the railway and so on, it kind of got shunted aside, and then eventually just became, historical designated waterway, World Heritage Site. And the canals, or rather the locks, are maintained to this day, and pleasure crafts can make their way along the canal, bypassing the rough parts of the river, then joining up to large lakes such as the Big Rideau Lake, Upper Rideau Lake, and Lower Rideau Lake. Or perhaps it's called the Little Rideau, I forget. And then, like I said, it continues on mostly in in a river capacity, and when it gets too rough, it bypasses the where the kind of falls are and so on, which would not be navigable by boat. So that's the Rideau Canal on this beautiful Sunday afternoon in Ottawa. So I was just standing on the Corksdown Bridge, which joins both sides of Somerset Street, east and west. And when it was built close to 20 years ago, all the car-centric suburbanites were wondering why money was being wasted on that instead of just building more roads. And of course, after it opened, it was heavily used and still is to this day, and it's a great asset to the pedestrian walking community and a way to get around Ottawa. Otherwise, there was the other bridge that was up there that had to be kind of walked to and crossed over to get to the other side. And this bridge was so successful in its implementation that they built another one down there, which we might take a look at. Also, this walkway, if you will, inclined, it's meant for cycling, walking, mobility devices, and so on. And right here, there's stairs. And I'm noticing, I haven't been here in a couple of years, they used to chain this off and not clear this out all winter long. And of course, it was ridiculous because people would have to go all the way around if they were walking. So they would just walk up and climb the chain, and it was kind of insulting to block this off. And this should be considered just a regular part of the walking infrastructure. And looks like the message was heard, and they're keeping it open now, which is great. This is the curve where the canal continues southward, and just to the left there, where the Canadian flags are, is where a person can get a beaver tail, which is a fried, sugary, doughy confection. And also just beyond that is the warming huts where people can put their skates on and so on. And you have another little building people are standing in front of, maybe renting skates, which can be done here also. Yeah, wonderful day. You'll notice people here and there kind of falling down. Most of the time, no big deal, especially kids learning how to skate. But sometimes it's worse than that. I saw a woman kind of being helped gingerly along to a little paramedic quad. She was walking and skating slowly, but she must have just fell and twisted an ankle a little bit or something. I'm not quite sure. Whatever it was, it wasn't serious, but it does happen. It's been known to happen. This time of year is colloquially known as fractuary because the ER visits are up for people with fractures to various limbs. Yeah, no fun. I once met somebody who fractured their femur skating on the canal. Yeah, that would definitely be no fun. But, I suppose broken bone once in a while is a small price to pay for getting out there and getting fresh air and exercise, and it's good for your mental health and all that stuff. I used to live around here, and remember one winter in particular, would go several nights a week skating. It was very pleasant. It gets a little rough sometimes, but they maintain it quite well, and overall, especially with all the people, and the colder it is, the less it'll get chopped up. But sometimes just around the freezing mark with all the people, it'll get all kind of just kind of a lot of crevices and cracks and so on. But more often than not, it's really nice and pleasant to skate here. I just came down that ramp, and I'm going to walk along the canal. A lot of people walk also, just stay off the skating portions of it, neither walk to the left or the right. There's lots of space. Yeah, it's quite pleasant to walk along here also. Well, here's the Corksdown Bridge I started filming on. A little wipeout there. In the summertime, when the water fills the canal, it comes up to close to the top here. Probably right along where this line is, it can be seen, where the concrete or cement is kind of unbroken, and after that it's kind of degraded a little bit here and there, like there, and exposed rebar and so on. Time and the elements, it takes its toll, but they work on different sections of it every year, here and there. They maintain it in terms of it just not completely crumbling. Especially what they don't want is right here is the cycling walking path, and they don't want that to kind of fall into the canal. So do a pretty good job of maintaining it, and said it's only for pleasure craft, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It just doesn't, have to, they just don't want it to kind of fall apart. And there is a certain requirement for maintenance just in terms of maintaining its designation as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I'm sure there's specifications of them not letting it go to pot. So around October, past Canadian Thanksgiving, they drain the canal. And about a kilometer east of here is where the Rideau River goes, and it's quite a rough section of river, and that's why this canal is a lot calmer to kind of bypass that. And right here where we see that orange circle, I think this is one of the spots where they'll take an auger, drill a hole, and they'll have mechanical pumps, generator to provide the power to take some water out from under the ice surface and flood the canal. They do that on an almost nightly basis. Certainly, I'm sure they'll do it after tonight, after all of the skating here. And right there's a great big crack. I wouldn't want to hit that in my skate going full speed. So they do a good job of maintaining the canal, flooding it. So if you do happen to come in the morning after a flooding, you should get a very, very nice, smooth ice surface. So I'm now in the walking and cycling path, the multi-use pathway that is on both sides of the canal, and this leads to an extensive network, or rather is part of an extensive network of recreational paths all around Ottawa. It's really quite something. It's very conducive to getting out and enjoying the city, enjoying nature and so on. By the way, just across the canal here is the Sandy Hill neighborhood of Ottawa, and that is the University of Ottawa neighborhood just beyond that. That's where I used to live. Quite a nice part of Ottawa. So I haven't seen any cyclists today, but there's always some diehards out there. And a lot of people walking along here. And in the summertime, they actually close these parkways, which is just right over there. You can see a car driving along it. On Sundays, they close it so people walk, rollerblade, if people are still doing that, cycle, jog, and so on. During COVID, they kept it open for multiple days throughout the summer, and it was open quite a bit just for pedestrians. It was blocked off to traffic, so that was quite nice. On both sides they do that. So a very outdoorsy city, Ottawa. A person could say people in Ottawa love outdoors, but there's lots of opportunity to enjoy the outdoors. So I think if you put that in any city, you're going to call that an outdoor city. I really prefer these types of walkable, livable cities as opposed to where pedestrians are looked on in disdain and not given the infrastructure. And there's many cities like that in different places quite often. So I'm walking away from the canal back to where I'm staying now in Ottawa. That was Somerset East, the other side of the bridge in Sandy Hill, and this is Somerset West. And I actually lived for a couple of years in one of the high rises on the left there, just in front of us. So this neighborhood is called Centertown. We're entering Centertown, especially after we cross the street up there called Elgin Street. Nice commercial thoroughfare with nice bars and restaurants and shops and so on. This is officially, or unofficially called, I guess, the Golden Triangle, which is kind of a triangular section just bounded by Elgin, the canal, and Lisgar Street, just a few streets north of here where City Hall is. And Centertown leads into Chinatown on Somerset, so that's where I'm going to next on the way home. Well, this is Elgin Street. Nice commercial street in Ottawa. It's an entertainment alternative to being in the Byward Market, of which there's lots going on there too. Still on Somerset Street West, and I'm crossing Bank Street, which is essentially the main commercial downtown street in Ottawa. Right there is Somerset House, a very historic building that's been falling apart forever. Developer's neglecting it, wants to demolish it. He said he doesn't want to. They're forcing him to fix it, and I think it might be saved yet, but the saga continues. Bank Street continues down there, crosses the Queensway, which is an east-west 4-lane highway that bisects the city. And just beyond that is one of the nicest neighborhoods in Ottawa. Affluent, nice architecture, nice shops, everything. The area called the Glebe, and onward along Somerset West, Chinatown. I just crossed Bronson Street, which is another major north-south road in Ottawa, and now I'm entering Chinatown, which, like many Chinatowns throughout North America, is still quite vibrant, although the demographics have changed a little bit. There are other Asian groups that have set up shops and restaurants here, such as Korean and Vietnamese community, and a smattering of other ethnicities who've set up their own little shops and restaurants and so on. But for the most part, it's still quite a traditional Chinatown. And there's some nice restaurants that I have been to and have closed, and others are still going strong. So, well, I walked through Chinatown, and now I am on Preston Street, which is the gateway to Little Italy. So we can see some shops and restaurants, mostly restaurants down there. And that bridge over there is where the Queensway is, the east-west car thoroughfare. And beyond that is more Little Italy. So it's a very nice neighborhood. And those high-rise apartment buildings is where the second one anyway, is where the end of Preston Street is. And just beyond it, there's a little brown building that's, I say little, but it's probably 20 stories high, whatever it is. It's part of Carleton University. And if a person drives down, or rather walks down Preston Street, if you cross Carling Avenue, another major thoroughfare in Ottawa, it'll bring you to Dow's Lake, the aforementioned Dow's Lake, where the canal goes until, the skating portion of the canal goes until it continues past that, as I mentioned. Preston Street's a great neighborhood. And I'm going to continue on to here, which is going to cross the tracks where the light rail transit is, and into the Hindenburg neighborhood. Well, I just came from downtown, which is clearly all those buildings there, a little bit to the south of that, or to the right of that, where the canal was. Beyond that tallest building there would be where the Parliament is. You can even see sort of a couple of spires with a steep pitch roof just to the left of that. I think that's the Supreme Court of Canada building, and it's just beyond that, it's Parliament. So here's the part of the light rail transit system in Ottawa. It's still being built up. There's a huge long section that is going to open up in the next couple of years. They keep adding to it, or they've worked on it for a long time. Just looking southward, And just beyond that is Little Italy. And I'm heading home, which is about 10 minutes walk that way, in Hintonburg. And that neighborhood there, just to the left of that train, is Mechanicsville, which, as the name suggests, there are a lot of several auto repair garages smack dab in the middle of a residential neighborhood. So it's a historic, well, I say historic, it's just been there for a long time. It's called Mechanicsville. And yeah, that's where I store my winter tires for my car and get them changed. And beyond Hintonburg, as we're going on Somerset, which is going to become Richmond Road soon, is Westboro. Very nice part of town. And yeah, lots of nice residential neighborhoods with a nice commercial district. Very nice part of town. Well, here I am in Hintonburg, and just a slight correction to what I said before. Somerset becomes Wellington, which then becomes Richmond Road. So it kind of changes as it goes along, and it goes quite a ways. Just a couple blocks from home, and that's the end of my journey for the day.